Hi, everyone. Welcome to Murder Not Murdering with Erin
and Autumn.
Hey, Autumn. How's it going?
It's okay. I mean, I've never been inside of a bank vault before.
Me either.
It's a little nerve-wracking.
It feels really surreal to be in here.
Yeah, it feels like we shouldn't be in here. Like, we should not be allowed
It does.
to be in here.
It feels like we absolutely should not be in here. So, just so everybody has a backstory, we are recording inside of a bank vault. If you'd like to see pictures of that, please go to our Instagram page. We are sitting inside a full-size bank vault in White Center, Washington right now. It is, I would say eerie.
Yes.
Perhaps.
Well, I mean, it doesn't help that you told me it was haunted.
I did do that. I did tell you that it was haunted because that is one of my favorite games in the entire world to play on Autumn.
I always believe her after all of these years.
Sometimes I just, if she travels, I'm like, wait, what's the room number that you're in?
And then
I like make up a fake story and send her creepy pictures of old timey photos.
The pictures solidify it for me. Like,
if
she did research.
See them walking the hallway, it's because they're a ghost.
She's always done this. Anytime.
I'm
elaborate stories that make sense, and I believe her.
Mm-hmm.
Why? No one knows.
No one knows. I'm basically a terrible friend.
Yeah. I mean, this has been happening my whole life. The 3 sneeze disease, the turtles at Green Lake.
Yeah. I have a lot of theories. I have a lot of theories that I have taught you.
Yes. I mean, they're not even just theories. They're stories that I believe.
They're full-fledged stories. But the problem is that I do a fair amount of fake backstories, and it does seem plausible.
Every time. They're all believable.
But tonight we are telling you true stories of true crime.
Yes.
I promise.
These ones really happened.
They really did. I think the thing about the vault that gets me the most is the fact that if the door were to shut on us, which we don't have the key for, but if
the code.
So if the door were to shut on us, there is you'll see on the Instagram, but there is a giant fixture in the wall that says air across it. So if we were to get stuck in here and it's because it's airtight, we would have to pull this knob out just to get some air inside the vault.
Just to be able to breathe, we would have to push that button.
And this is what we're doing for you, our listeners. Yes. You're welcome.
I mean, I have to admit, it's really pretty epic to be inside of a bank vault talking about robberies and stories about people that robbed banks.
It's so strange.
Just being in a bank vault, it just brings such a different
the mood.
Yes, it brings such a different vibe to the whole entire experience.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go first tonight, and I'm just going to start off by saying that I got my information from Thrillist, and they did an after show from the documentary Evil Genius, which is on Netflix. And if you want more information about the specific case, you can definitely watch that. It is very detailed. And then I also got information from Jim Fisher's website, and I did watch the Evil Genius documentary. So my episode is FBI Major Case 203, and it's the pizza bomber case.
I've never heard this.
The murder of Brian Wells.
Wow, I've never heard this.
Yeah, it is just a crazy, crazy, crazy story. So let's get into it. August 28th, 2003, Brian Wells is a 46-year-old pizza delivery man, and he walked into the PNC Bank with a cane, which later was found out to be a very sophisticated homemade gun that was operational. But he handed a note over to the teller asking for $250,000. He had a large collar around his neck and a huge shirt that said, "Guess what's in here?"
What?
Mm-hmm. And
what kind of, was it like a dog collar?
No, it was basically like a giant handcuff, and underneath his shirt was a bomb.
Wow. Okay.
So he hands over this huge list to them, but he had like this kind of manifesto that he handed to them. It was several pages long, and basically it was asking for $250,000. But the bank teller says she could not give him that amount. She didn't have it. So she emptied all the drawers out, and he got about $8,700. And he said to the teller, "Well, it isn't $250,000, prompting the teller to explain to him, like, there's just not enough time to give it to him. They would have to go into the vault to get it.
Okay.
Ding, ding, ding. There's my vault reference.
Where we are now.
Where we are now. Not this particular bank.
No.
Then he said to her, this thing's going to go off in 22 minutes. And before he turned to leave, he said he'd be back at 3 p.m. to retrieve the rest. So that was just kind of odd.
Right, because he's coming in there demanding this money right now, but then telling her he's going to be coming back because she didn't have access to what he needed.
The other thing is that he was very casual while he was in there. He seemed very casual and laid back. And as he walked out, he grabbed a lollipop from the bank.
So he wanted some candy on his way out from attempting to rob them.
So. I mean, he did rob them. He got $8,700. So he did get money.
Or $250,000 like he wanted.
He sure didn't. But I mean, like, you're robbing a bank. You have a bomb strapped to your neck. Why are you going and grabbing a lollipop? It just seemed odd.
Or coming back. Do you not think that they're going to call the cops?
I don't know. They sure did, though. Anyway, he then left and went to a nearby McDonald's to pick up his next instruction.
What?
Yeah. He had 2 packets, one that he gave to the teller and then one that he had on him that the police found. It was 9 pages long and it was handwritten. And a lot of it didn't make a whole lot of sense. But one of the things that was weird about it is it clearly was somebody had typed it out and then used pen and handwritten, like traced over the letters. So you couldn't see what their handwriting actually looked like. It's pretty clever, honestly.
Yeah, that is.
So about a quarter of a mile from the bank, Wells was pulled over by state patrol because obviously they called from the bank.
Yes. When you tell them you're coming back to get some more money, I'm pretty sure
he's not far. He's not far away. So as the officer was placing him in handcuffs, Wells explained to him he had a bomb secured around his neck. The trooper immediately stepped away from him, and then he came back and cut away his t-shirt and exposed the bomb. So he saw that there is an actual bomb on him.
Okay.
It was a small rectangular box, a bluish collared device featuring keyholes and 3 numbered rollers like the ones found on the bottom of combination locks. After the troopers looked at the device, they ordered Wells to get on the ground. They all backed away from him and called the bomb squad. Now, the bomb squad, unfortunately, there was only one person on duty at the time and the other 2 were very far away. So about 15 to 20 minutes had passed before they even called the bomb squad because they were just trying to figure out what the hell was going on. This guy's sitting here. He just robbed a bank, but seems kind of casual. And is this even a real bomb? Like, what is going on here? They were just trying to like figure everything out. But 15 to 20 minutes passed. And as the bomb squad was on the way, Wells was talking to the police in a one-way conversation saying, "Why isn't anyone getting this off of me? It's going to go off. I'm not lying. I don't have a lot of time. It's going to go off." And then he started hearing this ticking sound. Like everyone started hearing this ticking sound. And then audibly you can hear a beeping sound. Now, news people were already on the scene while this was happening because it had just, it was like a huge, it was a huge thing going on. And he's sitting in the middle of the street on the ground with the collar thing on and the shirt and everything. And so unfortunately, the bomb did detonate, killing him instantly. And when that happened, it was caught on camera. So if you do watch the Evil Genius documentary, please be warned that they do show the bomb detonating on video.
So he wasn't lying.
He was not lying. So at 3:18, 46 minutes since the bank manager called 911, the bomb went off around his neck. It killed him instantly. And the neck device detonated, and the bomb squad was 1.3 miles away. They arrived 3 minutes after the blast.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So they were just barely late.
Just barely. And it's kind of upsetting because, if they would have just understood what was happening in the beginning and they called right away, they would have had enough time to get there.
Right, because it seems like nobody was really in a hurry.
Well, he was acting very kind of casual. He was just sort of sitting on the side of the street and he was sort of kind of like talking to them in the beginning.
He took a lollipop, didn't care, said he'd come back.
But he was like, hey, did you call my boss? Like he was talking to them. So it was just kind of, it was odd behavior. That's all.
Okay.
But in the 9 pages of instructions that Wells had, it said that he had to go on a scavenger hunt and he needed to find 4 keys. And the 4 keys were going to be in different locations and they would deactivate the bomb if he found all of the keys. Now, the police did a search of all the locations and they never found any keys. So ultimately, the plan was that he was going to die.
So the person or persons had no intention of him actually finding a key to survive.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
But he was told to tell the police that 2 black men had put the bomb around his neck and gave him the scavenger hunt. Now, there was a call made to the pizza shop that he worked at, ordering 2 pizzas to be delivered to a remote location by a radio tower. And that's when it all happened, that they put the collar around his neck. Now, the owner of the pizza shop got the phone call and he heard it and he couldn't really understand what they were saying. So he handed the phone over to Brian Wells, who was able to get the order and said, okay, I'll go and drop them off. And then the idea is that when he got there, they put the collar around his neck and told him that he had to rob the bank.
Wow.
I know.
That's so sad.
So they went, obviously, after this whole thing happened, they searched Wells's house to see if they could find anything linking him to the crime. And they didn't find anything, but they did find an address book with the names of local sex workers. Neighbors and coworkers described him as being very kind and almost childlike. He did not have much of an education, and literally every person said he was just the nicest guy, very sweet, and like would help people out. And they did note that he loved scavenger hunts. He would do one that was in the paper regularly.
Okay, this is making me really sad.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to make you feel any better. Unfortunately, they didn't find hardly any forensic evidence from the scene because the bomb had gone off. And they were able to have almost 98% of all the pieces of the bomb. So they could put it together and see how it was built. So that was helpful, but they did not find any evidence. They did recover the collar, but to preserve it, they had to decapitate him at the scene.
This poor man.
Yeah, his family was devastated because they could not have closure of saying goodbye with an open casket. So that was very difficult. Anyway, and the investigators said it was not an easy decision to decapitate it, but there were notes saying that in the instruction pages that the collar was booby-trapped. So they needed to find some way to be able to get it off of him. They didn't know what was going to happen.
Right, without it exploding.
Mm-hmm. So on August 31st, Wells' coworker, Robert Panetti, he died under strange circumstances. He was a good friend of Wells, and it turned out that he died of an accidental overdose. But when he was questioned by investigators, he asked to move his interview to Monday, and he died on the Sunday before.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Suspect, right?
Well, yeah.
He was also acting really nervous, and he asked about getting protection from the police because he was scared whoever came after Wells would come after him next.
Okay, so protection from the police.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you meant
he wanted police protection.
Okay, that makes sense.
So they began to go through a list of local sex workers they found in Wells's book in his home. And they found one who had a boyfriend who was ex-military, had some experience with explosives. He was a black man, which is what he described as the people that had taken him. However, investigators didn't believe that Wells told the truth about his attackers. They didn't believe that any race was involved or any of that. They just believed that he was saying what he was told. And it turned out that man was not connected to the case. So they showed the cane gun on TV, hoping that somebody that made it might have shown something off like that before, and they might get a tip. The police replicated the entire bomb. The weird thing is the bomb was a real bomb, but it was pretty sophisticated. It had wires that didn't mean anything in places. It had a fake cell phone in it and warning labels all over it saying it was booby-trapped.
What?
Yeah.
This is blowing my mind.
If you were to break it down, it was basically 2 pipe bombs and a timer. And the other thing is, you know how you had to go find 4 keys? Well, only 2 of the keys would have worked, and it would have extended that one time for an hour, but nothing else. And none of the other keys would have worked.
So it was never intended to ever come off.
Exactly. The plan was that the bomb would detonate on him at any point in time. They just needed to get the money from him, is what I think was the plan. Anyway, they couldn't trace any of the handwriting because it was written over that typewriter writing and traced. And they were trying to find any way. They were running out of leads. Everything was not making sense. And this is the only time that they've ever had someone who was strapped to a bomb actually have it detonate on them at the FBI.
Wow.
So it was a really strange case. So 3 weeks after Brian Wells died, they get a phone call on 911 from a man named Bill Rothstein. Now, he's an important character in this, so keep an ear out on that. He called 911 and said, there's a body in the freezer at this house, and the woman you need to look into is named Marjorie Deal Armstrong. She's the person who killed them. And I know, and they said, how do you know that? And he said, because I live with her and I know she killed this man, and you need to come and get her right now because I'm afraid to go back to the house. So the house, though, and the reason why they immediately thought, is this connected? The house is right down the same road as the radio tower where Brian Wells met someone, I should say.
And that's when they put the collar on him.
That's where they put the collar on. So it was right next to the radio tower. Now, Marjorie is a extremely intelligent person. She is noted on literally everything you see of how high her intelligence is.
Smart enough to make a bomb?
Well, we'll get to that. So she's extremely, extremely intelligent, but she's also mentally ill. She's had a lot of issues throughout the years. And she's never been able to hold down a job because of that. She was diagnosed as bipolar. She had personality disorder, narcissistic behavior, mania, and several other things. The other weird thing is 5 men in her life died of strange circumstances, and she was able to collect money from their deaths.
So she really liked insurance money.
Well, her one and only husband died in a home accident where he fell and hit his head on something. And then she full on admitted to murdering her boyfriend.
What?
She shot him, but she claimed it was in self-defense, and she got away with it. She went to jail for a little bit, but then she got away with that murder, basically.
So she was murdering.
Yeah. So
not murdering like us.
No. She was murdering.
Yes.
But not
into murder, but she was into murdering.
Yeah. So it was really weird about the men in her life. And the thing about the guys that came into her life is they became captivated by her. And you're going to see pictures on her Instagram of her face. And she has very distinct eyes. And you definitely have a feeling from the way that she's just like a very distinct looking person.
Like, is it like
she's captivating?
Or
She was described to be very charismatic, and she was just a very intriguing person because of her high intelligence.
Okay.
So Bill Rothstein said she was still at the residence and that she was a master manipulator of all people. He did say that the person in the freezer was her ex-boyfriend, and he was afraid of her. And he admitted to helping her put him in the freezer. Yeah. What? And he said, I will tell you more information about that later, but I need you to come pick her up because I'm afraid to go back to the house, is what he told the police. Now, she apparently asked Bill to put the body in a wood chipper, and he refused. And that's why he called the police, because he just said he was not going to do that.
So that crossed the line, but the freezer part didn't.
I guess not. So because of the close proximity to the pizza drop-off point, it seemed suspect, and it may have something in connection with the Brian Wells case. So they were looking into it. So they went to the house, and it was obvious that Marjorie was an extreme hoarder. They located the large freezer downstairs under a tarp, and they found the body. Marjorie was sitting on her bed, asking the police to leave. They arrested her. She said that Bill Rothstein had done had actually done it. She did say that the body was her boyfriend, James Roden, and he was shot to death. Marjorie called a reporter after she was arrested and said that she thought Bill killed her boyfriend. Now, she has a long history of calling reporters, and in fact, the documentary Evil Genius, the documentary maker, reached out to her, and it started years long of correspondence, both through mail, letters, and phone calls.
So she really liked attention.
Yes.
Well, you did say she was a narcissist, so that makes sense.
It did take 4 days to thaw the body of James Roden. He was in fetal position, and they had a really hard time with that because they couldn't examine the body until it was thawed. When they did that, they did find that he did die of a gunshot wound. And here's the thing. He was killed 3 weeks before the bank heist.
Okay.
The FBI came in to interview Bill Rothstein to see if there could have been a connection. The first thing Bill said to the agent when they came in is, "I want you to know I am the most intelligent man in this room."
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. That's how I like to enter rooms.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he was a very highly intelligent person. That's why he and Marjorie got along so well. And they had an on and off again relationship for many, many years. It spanned like 35 years. And he had asked her to marry her once. They met, Autumn, in a roller rink.
What?
Now, not all of our listeners know this, but I own a roller skating rink. So that was just like,
that is such a cool little like connection.
Weird thing to know.
Yes.
Anyway, so they asked him point blank, is there any connection between Brian Wells and James Roden? And he said no, but he couldn't talk. He said no, but he couldn't talk about it. It seemed suspicious.
Yeah.
And the way that
why wouldn't you talk about it if you said no?
And the way that he talked to the police was very kind of condescending. I mean, he was clearly...
Well, he thought he was the smartest one in the room.
And it showed. And they did have him take a polygraph, but he passed it. And they knew, though, with his high intelligence, he could easily have passed that polygraph. So that didn't really matter to them.
Right.
The thing is, though, to note, it's been 3 murders in 3 weeks. So it was Brian Wells, Robert Panetti, because they considered his overdose as a possible murder.
Okay.
And then James Roden died. So that's 3 murders in 3 weeks. It's
all connected to this woman?
We're not sure. Okay. We don't have a connection yet from Brian Wells. They're suspecting it. So Marjorie said that Bill was the mastermind, and Bill claimed it was Marjorie. They interviewed a man then named Ken Barnes, and Ken Barnes was Marjorie's fishing buddy. Marjorie and James Roden fought a lot. He said that she had mentioned wanting to find a way to knock him off. Barnes and his girlfriend spent a lot of time with Marjorie, and she had mentioned being in jail before, so they looked her up. They were like, what is this about? And that's when they found out that she had killed a boyfriend in the past, but it said it was self-defense. When they talked to her about it, she laughed about it and said she got away with it. So Marjorie then called the reporters again to say she was innocent. It was all Bill's fault. Bill gave the investigators a tour through he and Marjorie's house, right? And showed them how he helped her put Jim in the freezer. And he cooperated with the police through this whole thing. And you can watch the video. It's crazy. He's just walking through the house and telling them all about all the things. And this is what I did and how I put him in the tarp and carried him down and all of that. And he's very just talking to them.
Like matter of fact about how they had.
Yeah, but he's casual. He makes jokes and stuff as he's talking to them. It's very casual. Anyway, so the police, because he was so cooperative, they released him. Marjorie remained in jail. And both
they release him?
They release him.
Because they feel like he's being cooperative.
He's being cooperative, so they just release him.
I'm keeping this in the back of my mind.
I know.
Anything like this happens to
one of us. Marjorie remains in jail. Both of them deny they have anything to do with the Wells case, though. That is always denied by both of them. It's important to note, before the bank heist, Bill Rothstein was in a legal feud with his family over money, and he was from a very wealthy family. They were a prominent family in the neighborhood, and he lived in their family home. He was told by the family that he needed to list the home. So he said he listed it for $90,000, which in his neighborhood would have been a pretty decent buy. Okay. But he actually didn't do that. he did list the house, but he listed it for $250,000.
The same amount that Brian Wells asked for.
Exactly.
Okay.
So Bill also kept something else from the police, and that's that he had a roommate that had just moved out named Floyd Stockton. And he had moved out the day after the heist.
Very suspicious.
And he did not tell them that. So it was very suspicious. Marjorie told the FBI about Floyd Stockton. She said that he had to leave town because he was getting too much heat with the Wells case around their area. And Stockton was on the run. He had a warrant for raping a disabled teenager.
Oh.
Yeah, he was not a good guy.
No.
So the FBI finds Floyd Stockton, and he claims that he has no connection to the Wells case and passes a polygraph. Floyd and Bill were cleared of any involvement in the Wells case by the FBI at that point. But the local police did not buy it.
So they were on to them.
They thought that they still had something to do with the FBI. Just cleared them and said, no, neither of them have anything to do with this, and we're moving on. So at Marjorie's hearing, Rothstein cut a deal for his testimony, only getting 2 to 3 years for misdemeanors such as tampering with a dead body.
So he claimed like he had nothing to do with it.
He had nothing. He just helped her move the body. So he was going to get 2 to 3 years in his deal. Marjorie was being escorted through a hallway and said to reporters, Bill Rothstein should be arrested for the murder of Brian Wells.
What?
She just looks at the camera and says that. And no one asked any further questions.
They just let her keep walking?
They just let her keep walking. And, I mean, she's being escorted to go back to prison. But still, no one asked her any questions about that or why she said that or why she would bring up the Wells case. They just let it trickle away. Now, there was a big issue between the local police and the FBI and the ATF working together. No one shared information with each other, and there was huge delays in the case due to that rivalry. So one of the craziest things is the FBI released a criminal profile, behavior profile to the news. And when you looked at everything on that profile, Bill Rothstein fit every single category. It was almost like they were talking about him specifically. So it's weird that she would say that and then no one followed up.
Well, and that they dismissed him so quickly, yet their profile is exactly who he was.
Exactly. So Rothstein claimed to have wanted to commit suicide after he put James Roden's body into the freezer. And he showed the police on his tour through the house of his putting the body in there. And on that tour, he showed them his suicide note he made. And number 1 on his list is numbered. It says this has nothing to do with the Wells case.
Oh, because that's not suspicious.
No, not at all.
If you say it and write it, it must be true.
Right? And then the next one says that he didn't have anything to do with the body, and the next one says that he did move the body, and so on and so on. The only thing is time is going by, right? Nobody's finding anything else about this. They can't trace anything. There was hardly any forensic anything. They just really couldn't find anything to connect anyone to this. And it was so baffling. But Bill became really, really ill months later, and he was in the hospital. And the FBI went in to interview him, basically because it turned out that he was dying of cancer. And they gave him an opportunity to clear his name or to confess and clear his soul of anything that he had done that was wrongdoing. He told them he was too weak to speak, so he put his hand in the air and he just wrote out the word no and said, I don't have anything to do with that. So
he's dying and still denying he had anything to do with it.
Yes. So 4 days later, he died of terminal cancer. They still suspected that he may have been involved, but he made it obvious that he was excited to outsmart the police.
Because he's the smartest one.
In the room.
In the whole room.
Mm-hmm. But not in this vault, because we're smart ladies.
Yes.
Marjorie eventually confessed to killing James Roden, her boyfriend. She had no remorse, and she was described by other inmates as being a master manipulator. Now, we've heard this before. She also said that they would say that she would be bragging about ways to play the crazy card. Those were her words, to get out of having to do time for that murder.
It seems like she runs her mouth a lot.
It does, and she doesn't really realize who all's listening. She tried to get a plea deal, saying that she wasn't in her right mind when she killed James Roden. And they told her that she could be paroled after 7 years with good behavior because she wasn't in her right mind. She
keeps getting off.
And she also bragged to the other inmates that she was excited to be transferred to a state mental hospital because they had better food there.
I mean, I think she's not wrong.
I mean, I don't know. I've never been to prison.
I mean,
neither, I assume the food's not good. Probably a disaster for a foodie, but I'm just saying. Anyway, it was just odd that she's bragging about that. She's been proven that she has killed 2 men now, right? We know that she had killed her boyfriend from years ago that she shot in the chest when he was sleeping. And now she has shot yet another boyfriend and basically could get off for good behavior after 7 years.
So she keeps getting these slaps on her wrist. So why doesn't she keep committing these crimes?
Exactly. The man that did the documentary Evil Genius, Trey Borzaleary, wrote her in prison and asked if she would give him any information about the Wells case. She said she would agree to give him information about the Wells case that was not released to the public if he gave her money or legal help. So now we're like, wait, she does know about the Wells case? I mean, she did say that she knew that Bill Rothstein killed Brian Wells. So like, wait, what? So
this is all just so confusing.
So he gets her a lawyer, and she tells the lawyer that Bill Rothstein put James Roden's body into the freezer because he couldn't deal with it until his business was taken care of, aka the murder of Brian Wells.
What?
Yeah. So he said she had told them that he had to take care of his business first, so that's why they needed to put James Roden on ice.
Like literally.
Literally. Yeah.
Wow.
I know, it's crazy. So Marjorie wrote a to whom it may concern letter to the Pennsylvania police. She was wanting to get transferred to a different hospital and she was going to trade information for that. The FBI sifted through Marjorie's things held in a storage facility, and they came across an angry letter to the PNC Bank because they let her father take out money in the contents of a safety deposit box.
Just like the ones we're looking at now.
We're literally in the room full of safety deposit boxes. But the thing is, the bank that was robbed was PNC Bank. So now there's another connection there. This whole thing with that was about her inheritance. The FBI interviewed her again. She said she would talk about the Wells case, but she didn't actually give them anything new. The thing is, she kept in contact with Trey Borzaleary, the man from the documentary. She did tell him about a blue van that Bill Rothstein had at his house and that he had it towed after the heist and didn't bring it back to his property until he was cleared. Now, when the police were searching for the keys for the scavenger hunt, they noted seeing a blue van at the last location, and it took off, and they lost it. And one of the things that the investigators said that had seen the blue van is, I bet you that was somebody waiting to see who was going to be here to pick up the keys. So this was new information that Bill Rothstein had a blue van because he had it towed, didn't have it brought back until after he was cleared. Now, the man shooting the documentary came to Bill Rothstein's house before he died and tried to do an interview with him. He did not, and he has this on film, he did not agree to do any interview and stayed in his car the whole time. But while filming the house, there was a blue Astro van sitting out front. It's very suspicious.
That is so suspicious.
When Trey tells this to the police immediately are like, oh shit.
They let him go.
Basically, yeah. I mean, they're like, he definitely was connected. So the FBI starts searching and looking over everything again with Rothstein. And by this time, he's dead, so they can't question him. But they look back at that video that they did at the house where he was walking them through and showing them about all of the things throughout the house, you know, how he had put the body in the freezer and
right, just moved it, didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Moved it.
Yeah. So as they were doing it, they noticed that on one of his desks in the video, you see a diagram. And that same diagram was on the outside of the bomb.
What?
Yeah.
I feel like I keep saying that, but this story just is like so many twists.
I told you,
turns.
it's so strange. They also find indents in the paper that was written on. So, you know, he had that handwritten manifesto, basically.
Yeah.
Well, they did some tracing of indents that they saw in it, and they were able to match the handwriting that they found on the indents to Bill Rothstein.
So the profile that they had nailed it.
Yeah.
And it sounds like he was involved.
He was most definitely involved. So summer of 2005, a man came back to say that he saw Marjorie on the day of the heist driving on the highway in the wrong direction. And she was very near at that point, close to the Wells location at that time. And now Marjorie is really a suspect. Before she was telling them about Bill Rothstein, but now they're like, oh, wait, she might be involved too.
Like the both of them together.
Mm-hmm. Also, a UPS driver saw an episode of America's Most Wanted, and he called the FBI because he didn't want to get on TV. So he called the FBI, and he was saying that he saw Marjorie and Bill Rothstein at a payphone at a Shell station. And that same payphone is where the phone call was made to order the 2 pizzas to be delivered to the radio tower.
Ding, 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 ding.
Right? When they talked to Marjorie, she said she was there for another reason. She didn't really explain much. The thing that she always does is she admits that she's at locations. So she said, yeah, I was there driving on the wrong way on the freeway, but I have nothing to do with the Wells case. Yes, I was at the Shell station. I don't remember what it was for, but I was there. So she never denies not being there, but she says that she wasn't part of that.
So she's telling half-truths.
Yeah, she's a master manipulator, as she's been described by so many people, and she thinks she is also the smartest one in the room, and honestly, she kind of is. Like, she's very intelligent. I'm not playing that down. Several of the inmates that were in jail with Marjorie said that she had killed James Roden because he was going to tell the police about the bank heist. It wasn't that they had gotten in a fight or anything. She was going to kill him because he was about to tell the police about the heist. They got a lot of notes written by one inmate who, even in front of Marjorie, was taking notes. So she was writing notes down of the things Marjorie was saying because, I mean, obviously, I think she wanted to use it for some sort of plea deal or a sentencing thing, but she was taking notes on everything Marjorie said. And she was saying a lot about the Wells case. She said both Rothstein and Stockton were involved. Marjorie also said, it's not like we didn't measure his neck for the collar, and started laughing.
What?
Yeah. She also mentioned Brian Wells by name to them, and she admitted to making the call for the pizzas to them. So the FBI go and they interview Stockton again, who they had cleared before, right? At a prison in Washington State. Yeah.
Gotta love the Pacific Northwest.
He hesitated to tell them anything and refused to talk. Now, remember Ken Barnes, her fishing buddy?
Yes.
So they brought him back. It's 2 years after the heist. They're talking to him. Now Ken Barnes had a connection to Brian Wells that they hadn't noticed before because they were both known by a local sex worker named Jessica Hoopstick. And she used to buy crack cocaine from Ken Barnes, and Brian Wells would then consummate their transaction with her, and then she would take that money and she would go buy the crack cocaine from Ken Barnes. Ken Barnes was a known drug dealer.
Okay. Her fishing buddy. When the
investigators go to interview Jessica Hoopstick, she says she knows nothing about any of this. Ken Barnes told the police that Marjorie had asked him to do the bank robbery and also asked him to kill her father, who she had believed to have been spending her inheritance. She needed to do the bank heist to be able to pay Ken Barnes to murder her dad. He claimed that he wouldn't have actually done it, but he did tell her as a joke that he would have charged her $250,000 to do the murder on her father.
So that magic number, $250,000, is back in play.
Yeah. Marjorie denies all of this, says she's not part of that.
Of course not.
No. So she told police that she gave Bill Rothstein 2 timers. She was just talking about trying to implicate Bill in everything, right? But one thing that no one knows at this point is that the bomb had 2 timers. That was not released to the police. The police hadn't released that to the public.
So she gave information that only somebody involved would have known.
Exactly. It really raised a lot of eyebrows, and she clearly knew more. Now, the next thing that happened is Ken Barnes confesses to knowing the entire scheme, participating in the heist, and that Marjorie is the mastermind behind the whole thing. Ken Barnes said that everybody involved was himself, Marjorie, Bill Rothstein, Floyd Stockton, the other pizza delivery guy, Robert Panetti, and Brian Wells.
So Brian was involved? He wasn't just a victim?
Well, here's where it gets weird.
Well, that actually would make sense if he thought that they were doing this together, because he was so casual, got a lollipop, and didn't seem like he was really that worried.
Mm-hmm. The thing is, that he said that Brian knew about the heist, but not the bomb. And it's unsure if Brian even knew if the bomb was real or not. So Marjorie and Ken, according to Ken, watched the entire heist from a hill above the bank with binoculars. And they left after the police arrived. But one thing that he said Marjorie said when Brian walked out was, "Looks like someone just robbed a bank." And then she got on the highway and accidentally went the wrong direction.
For somebody who's super smart.
But the point is that there was an eyewitness that saw her that day going on the highway in the wrong direction, and that wasn't released to the public. This is now making a lot more sense to the police. So they said that they left, they went on the wrong way on the highway, and then Barnes claimed that the bomb was supposed to be fake, according to what he was told. But afterward, he was told that they felt, and by they, he means Bill Rothstein and Marjorie, that the bomb had to be real. But they said that Brian Wells was never going to be hurt. We know that's not true.
Right, because there was no way for that bomb to get off of him.
Mm-hmm. So the FBI goes back to talk to Floyd Stockton, who gave no information before. But now that he's been implicated, he said he'll give them information if he gets full immunity. And they gave it to him, even though he was the person that put the collar on Brian Wells.
So it wasn't these random black men that he said.
No, it was him. It was all of them.
That's so crazy.
So Floyd Stockton said he'll tell them everything if he got full immunity. He said he was the person that put the collar on Brian's neck. He said it was Marjorie and Rothstein who masterminded the whole thing. They did it together. That Brian's family denied that he could ever have been involved because Brian was very simple and, like I said before, talked about as childlike. So they go back to that local sex worker, Jessica Hoopstick, because she's the connection between Brian Wells and Ken Barnes, right? And she says that she's the one that suggested to Barnes to use Brian because she knew that he loved scavenger hunts and would be easily manipulated.
That breaks my heart.
Mm-hmm. The other thing is, everyone then said that he did not know about the bomb. But Jessica Hoopstick said that they told her they'd give her $5,000 to find the right patsy for them. She ended up receiving $1,500 from Marjorie in cash, and then she got copious amounts of crack cocaine from Ken Barnes and spent a week laying on a bed, is what she said. Now, there was a witness that said that they saw Brian Wells at the house of Bill Rothstein the day when everyone agreed that they were doing a pre-planning meeting for the heist. But later on, it turned out that Brian was only there for a minute to deliver pizza. So he wasn't part of this. And the family always denies that he would not be part of something that would put his life at risk like that. And when you watch the video, it is heartbreaking when you see him laying on the ground and he is pleading for someone to help him. It's obvious that he is not involved in this. you know? And so it's really upsetting. Now, at the trial, Floyd Stockton would not be able to make it to the trial because he had a heart condition and he wasn't able to make it. But the trial took place 7 years after the heist.
7 years?
Yeah, that's how long it took them to put this all together.
Wow.
And 10 days after Marjorie's testimony, the jury began deliberations. They reached a verdict a day and a half later. They found Marjorie guilty on all counts for her actions. Guilty of conspiracy to commit bank robbery, armed bank robbery in which a death resulted, and the use of a destructive device in which furthered violence. She was sentenced to life in prison plus 30 years. Remember, Rothstein died. Floyd Stockton got out of prison because he had that immunity deal. So he got out of prison for the rape he had done. He got married and he still lives in Washington State.
What? He's just out there free as a bird.
Yep. And he's the one that he talked about having to jump onto Brian Wells and hold him down to put the collar on him.
Wow, what a sicko.
So fucked up. Anyway, so then the other thing is Ken Barnes did go to prison and he died in 2019. His release date was 2027. Marjorie Deal Armstrong also died in 2017 from breast cancer. The saddest thing about this whole case is that no one was ever charged with Brian Wells' murder. And ultimately, he was a pawn in this whole scheme. And according to Jessica Hoopstick, he was never at that meeting. She was with him the whole day after he delivered the pizza. So he wasn't really part of any of this. And Ken Barnes admitted that he did not go to that meeting beforehand. But the thing is, they all said that he had been there because they needed to say that he was involved because that kept them from getting the death penalty.
Wow.
Because no one was actually charged in his murder.
That is insane.
Since they could implicate that he was part of it, it kept them all from getting the death penalty. It's so fucked up. But this was such a crazy case. It has so many twists and turns. It's so bizarre.
And so many people were involved.
So many people were involved, and everyone was talking about each other. The tapes of listening to Marjorie talking to Trey, the documentary maker, are crazy. We'll post pictures of Marjorie and everyone involved on our Instagram page. And then if you are curious about this, I would definitely recommend to watch that documentary Evil Genius on Netflix because it had so much information. It's a 4-part series because this is just so crazy.
I totally agree. This story was just so insane. So many twists and turns, and a body in a freezer, 5 dead people,
a bomb,
a bank robbery,
scavenger hunt. It's so strange, and multiple plots to kill people, and a lot of people dead. I mean, Marjorie straight up murdered a lot of people,
and she profited from most of them.
She sure did.
It seems to me that she felt invincible because they just kept giving her slaps on the wrist and fistfuls of money.
Because she could outsmart them. And one thing that she said that about Bill Rothstein was that he got away, and he actually did get away with it. He got away with fooling the police because he died knowing that he had tricked them all.
Yeah. Wow,
right.
I really loved that. That was crazy.
Now that we're sitting here in our vault, what's your story, Autumn?
Okay, so I'm going to be doing the story of Scott Skrlik, also known as the Hollywood Bandit.
Ooh.
And this story is interesting because it actually takes place, the majority of it, here in Washington. So super local.
Awesome.
Okay. He was born in Virginia, the son of a minister, of all things, this bank robber. Son of a minister. He robbed a total of 18 banks in the time that he was robbing them.
Oh my God.
That's a lot of banks.
That's a lot of banks.
So it started, Scott Skrlik moved to Oahu, Hawaii from Virginia, where he was from.
That's a big difference.
Yeah. He moved there in 1978, and he actually met up with a friend of his that he knew that was going to the University of Hawaii. And the two of them moved on to a tomato farm that had 5 acres, which sounds kind of funny. I didn't really think about it a lot because I didn't know that there was a lot of tomatoes in Hawaii.
I would not have guessed that.
I mean, a pineapple farm, I would totally think of something like that, but I never would have imagined. There's a lot of them, I guess.
Huh.
I've never seen them in all the times I've been to Hawaii.
Okay.
But I guess it's a thing there. There's a lot of tomato farmers.
Good to know.
This turned out to be pretty good for them because they worked 4 days on and then they had the rest of the week to surf and do really whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
And he didn't really like to work a lot, so it was a pretty sweet setup for him. One day when the two of them were hiking, they came across a marijuana farm. Yeah. And he took a couple of those plants.
Oh, just I'll take these ones.
He was like, I'm just going to take some of these.
That's nice.
So that he could grow some himself and make some extra cash on the side.
Yeah.
And their landlord actually found these plants that they had planted and kicked them out. So the gig was up. They couldn't live on this cheap rent anymore because the landlord said, you can't be growing this marijuana on my land.
Yeah.
So they kicked him out.
No reefer madness.
No. And I mean, it was, if you think about it, it was kind of smart. The marijuana plant looked similar to the tomato plant.
Yeah, so they could blend in.
So they blended in together, but their landlord
not
was
good
like,
enough.
The jig is up. You can't do this here. And he was making pretty good money on it. So he was pretty upset, but it was up. They couldn't live there anymore. And he decided to move to Olympia, Washington. Big change again. Yeah. So from Virginia to Hawaii and from Hawaii to Olympia.
Ooh, that's a big change.
Just moving around, big changes.
Yeah.
He actually was very intelligent and he enrolled at the Evergreen College to become a doctor.
Wow.
He was really, really smart. All of his teachers would talk about how smart he was, and he had a special interest in chemistry.
Okay.
And he was very good at mixing chemicals and compounds.
I feel like this is going to go somewhere.
Yes. He actually became quite good at cooking meth.
Oh,
yeah.
Lovely.
Yes. So this led to him also dealing meth.
Yeah.
So he was cooking and dealing meth.
As you do.
Yes. And with that money, he bought a small house and 20 acres of land. And he realized that selling meth was way more profitable than becoming a doctor. So he dropped out of college.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Selling meth, dropped out of college, bought a little house and 20 acres of land.
Wow.
And as a meth head would do, he built a 3-story tree house.
Do you know if he used his product?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So a 3-story?
Yes, a 3-story tree house.
Wow.
And this thing was huge. He also had a fireplace in the tree house, as well as a bathtub and a zip line for an emergency exit. I mean,
that sounds really fun, honestly.
Well, I mean, if you're dealing meth, you got to get out fast if the police are coming for you, right?
I mean, I kind of want to build that. I don't do meth, though.
Yeah, no. I mean, you don't have to do meth to build a tree house.
No.
But this guy was and did. He also was very handsome, and everyone would say that he looked like Mel Gibson.
Oh.
So he was this handsome meth dealer of all people.
That's how I describe all my ex-boyfriends.
Living on 20 acres in a 3-story treehouse. He's living the dream, okay?
Living the dream. Handsome meth dealer, treehouse owning man.
Yes. Living the dream. And he also invited his friend Steve Myers to come work for him because he was a down and out artist and he was making handfuls of money and figured he'd extend the same to his friend.
Okay.
So his friend comes to come work for him. In 1989, his main distributor was murdered. And so he decided this was just too dangerous and he needed to get out. Okay. He needed to find another way to make money. So he'd always talked about how he wanted to be the real life Robin Hood, rob from the rich and give to the poor.
Okay. Ooda lolly.
Right. So he recruited his friend from college, Mark Higgins, and they robbed their first bank.
Cute.
Yeah.
Things you do with friends.
Yep. This was June 25th in 1992. And they did not think this through in any way, shape, or form. They rob the bank and they go to steal a car from one of the customers inside the bank. And Mark is a getaway driver and he pushes down on the pedal too hard and floods the gas. So they're not able to get away.
So are they now on feet?
So yes, they hop out of the vehicle and they are now running.
Okay. Okay.
Mark decided they did get out They got out with some money, and Mark decided that wasn't the life for him. And I kind of agree, because clearly you flooded the car.
He was the worst getaway driver.
You're not really fit for this anyways. Let's get you out of here.
Yeah.
So Mark was out, and Scott decided to go this alone.
Okay.
Well, Scott was a very sophisticated robber. He put on costume makeup and prosthetics and theatrical makeup to make his face look different.
That sounds like a Tuesday night for me.
Yeah, which was also genius, though, because his face looked different.
Yeah, at every single one, so no one can really identify him.
But at the same time, walking into a bank, he just looked like an older person or somebody else. He didn't draw attention to himself.
Interesting.
So he wasn't wearing a ski mask coming in all crazy, like demanding people to give him money.
Well, and still people are seeing his face, or what they assume is his face.
Yes, what they assume is his face. But at the same time, no one around realized he was robbing the bank.
Yeah.
Because nobody realized what was happening. He wasn't crazy and wild and going all over the place.
Yeah.
So he decided that at this point, this was what he wanted to do. He was going to be a bank robber.
It's a nice career choice.
Yeah. He liked the money. He said it was easy. And by 1992, he had robbed 6 banks.
Wow. So he's like actually making a living at this.
Yeah. And he's pretty successful with it.
Wow.
Yeah. So he was super, super profitable in his robberies. Okay. So in 1993, they were listening to some police scanners and figuring out what their next bank robbery was going to be.
Okay.
And he decided he needed to bring back his friend Mark.
Oh, the bad driver.
Yeah, the bad driver. He convinced him to do it again. He said, I'll give you $250,000 for you to be my getaway driver again.
It's funny. That seems to be the number of the night.
That is a good connection. I didn't even think about that. So he...
And he wants him to be the getaway driver.
Out of all the things to ask him to do again, why are you asking him to drive away? He was so horrible at it
Doesn't he remember hoofing it? I mean, come on now.
They had to ditch the car and run.
Yeah.
Anyway, they brought him back, and he seemed to be doing pretty well for a while. And by the end of 1995, he had stolen $1 million.
Wow.
So the FBI had been monitoring him, and they did put him together with all of the robberies that he had done.
Oh, wow.
Despite that they had the makeup on. They didn't know who he was, but they knew that it was the same
They knew
robber.
that it was the same person. So they've connected it.
Yep. And they gave him the nickname the Hollywood Bandit because of the theatrical makeup.
Wow.
And his disguises. So the FBI also noticed a pattern that he needed at least $20,000 per month to live off of. So they were able to determine by that pattern when he was going to be robbing banks.
Wow. Okay.
So they knew when he was going to rob the next bank.
And they kind of had an idea when he'd run out of money and he needed to do it.
Exactly. They had an educated guess as to which bank it would be as well.
Oh, wow.
Their guess on the date, January 25th, 1996, was exact. But they surveilled a bank that was about 2 miles away from the actual bank he robbed and didn't arrive at the robbery scene in time. So he got away.
God damn it, this guy.
I know. By mid-1996, Scurlock with Biggins and Myers had robbed 2 more banks. That came to 17 banks in 4 years.
Wow, that is a lot of banks without getting caught.
It's crazy. So the FBI put a $50,000 reward on the capture of the robber, thinking at the time that there was only one person involved.
Yeah.
The reward signs showed a sketch of the robber that looked nothing like Scurlock.
Well, they had no idea what he really looked like.
Nope, they had no idea. So on the final bank robbery attempt that the threesome did, they planned on robbing 5 banks on the same night because they had been listening to the scanners and they knew that the police were onto them about what kind of timelines they were on, and they knew that they had to do something different.
That seems very ambitious.
5 in one night.
Wow. Okay.
But according to Steve, they even had a mobile station set up. But they learned that the police had convinced every bank in Seattle to put electronic tracers in with any stolen money. And they scaled back the plans and decided to rob just one bank instead.
Oh, okay.
So it was the day before Thanksgiving in 1996.
Okay.
Around 5:30 p.m. And they hit the Seafirst Bank, which they heard would have $3 to $4 million on hand that day.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They escaped in one car and changed to a white van to throw off the police. But they didn't realize that they had an electric tracer in their bag. So the police found the van rather quickly.
I'm sure they did.
They were right behind them, and they got stuck in holiday rush traffic.
No.
Yes. And so...
Don't you dare tell me they got away.
Well, Scott did. He got right out of that car, but Biggins and Myers were left in the car, in the van.
Okay, so the bad driver...
and his friend, the starving artist, were stuck in the van while the Hollywood Bandit got out.
He left. He's like, I'm going to take my money and go. Bye.
Yes. Well, the police show up and there becomes a shootout. There's two accounts of the story. According to Myers, the police shot first, but the police department says that Myers came out of the van with a shotgun and he shot first.
Okay.
But whatever the story is, because this is back in the 90s when they weren't filming and they didn't have any kind of body cameras.
Yeah, dash cams.
So they had no way of verifying whose story is true.
Okay.
I'm going to lean towards the police, but the count is just so crazy because the police returned 37 rounds.
Holy shit.
Of firearms on these men.
Wow.
And Mark's arm was severely injured.
His arm?
Yeah, his arm was severely injured. And Myers was injured as well, but not as bad.
Wow.
In the van, they found $1 million.
That's all?
That's all. That's a lot of money.
No, it's a lot of money.
They had $1 million in the van at the time that it was seized. But Scurlock was nowhere to be found.
So what'd he get away with?
That I don't know. Because the next day, Thanksgiving, a woman named Wilma Walker, she was getting ready for Thanksgiving dinner with her family.
Okay.
And I don't know why, but her son decided to check the camper in the back of their house just for peace of mind because the shootout had happened not far from their home. And this was yet the day before. And that man, Spurlock, was still out there. The police had not found him.
But they had announced that there was a third person.
Yes, because...
Okay, so that's why he was like, I need to go check the camper just in case.
Yes, because the police didn't know when they arrested Myers and Biggins, they asked them, are you the Hollywood Bandit? Because they didn't know. And they both denied it.
Of course
and said that there was somebody else. Mm-hmm. So they had said that there was somebody else on the loose.
Okay.
And so this woman's son went to go check the camper on the property. And a few minutes later, he came running back saying, I saw him. He has black curly hair and I saw him. So they called the police and they said, we think the Hollywood Bandit
is in our
camper in our backyard.
Okay.
So the police come.
Yeah, of course.
Like with canisters of pepper spray and
SWAT, I'm sure.
SWAT cars, everything. And the sergeant, Howard Monta, went over to the camper, knocked on the door, and looked in there with his flashlight. And there was nothing, no sound, nothing. And when he was looking in with the flashlight another time, he heard a gunshot go off. And he thought he had been shot.
Oh.
And realized he hadn't been.
Yeah, with a gunshot going off that close to you.
Yeah, he was at the time thought that he had been shot.
Okay.
But he wasn't.
Okay.
And the police had a couple hours standoff with the person in the camper. Mm-hmm. But that gunshot that they had heard was actually Spurlock shooting himself.
So he committed suicide.
So he was dead the entire standoff.
Wait, what?
Yes.
They were just shooting at a camper?
They hadn't shot at the camper.
Oh, okay.
They were waiting to see him come out.
Okay.
But he never made another noise.
Yeah, they were trying to negotiate, see if they could get him to come out. I get it.
Information, nothing was coming.
How long was the standoff?
About 4 hours.
Oh my God.
4 hours had passed and they had done some more tear gas before entering the camper.
Wow.
But when they entered the camper, they realized that Scurlock had shot himself. And that shot that that Sergeant Monta had heard was him killing himself.
Wow.
So he had been dead that entire
the whole time.
So a total of 18 robberies for him, and he stole in total $2.3 million.
Wow. And they were able to connect him and that he was actually...
Yes, he was the same person.
The Hollywood bandit.
Yes. It makes him actually one of the most prolific bank robbers in the history of the United States.
Well, it was so many.
18 successful robberies.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it would be 17 successful robberies.
True.
And on the 18th one, he just lost all of his luck.
That was not good. You know, what's funny is that he seemed to have done better when he was on his own.
Yeah, without his accomplices.
Mm-hmm.
His accomplices, actually, Steve Myers and Mark Biggins, were sentenced to 21 years in prison.
Okay.
Neither of them blame him for it because they willingly helped him.
Yeah.
And they also said that if he hadn't have killed himself, they think they would have gotten lesser sentences. I'm not entirely sure their thinking behind that.
I have no idea.
But it's so crazy. This person went from being this marijuana grower to a meth cooker, dealer maker, and then to a bank robber.
Meth cooker, dealer maker.
I mean, he did it all.
He was like, you know what? I'll just be a bank robber now.
Right. I mean, he did it all.
He's got to sustain the treehouse somehow.
Yes. The treehouse was important to him, and he needed $20,000 a month to support it.
I mean, that's pretty expensive.
It's insane.
Yeah.
But the thing is that my mom actually suggested this story to me.
Oh, really?
Yes. And I got most of my information from a 48 Hours video that I watched.
God. I thought you were going to be like, my 48-year-old mother.
My mother is 48 years old. Everyone, she would appreciate you. You would tell her that. She looks as young as I say she is. But yes, she suggested this. I saw a 48 Hour special, and actually Anne Rule, who is a local crime author, wrote
notorious as one of the best crime writers.
Amazing. Mm-hmm. She actually wrote a book on him as well.
Oh, interesting.
Called The End of a Dream.
Wow.
So that is really, I remember reading that years and years ago, and my mom suggested this case to me, and all the connections to the local banks here really made it so much more interesting. The last bank that they robbed was actually the Seafirst Bank in Lake City.
Oh.
Which for a lot of you don't know, but Aaron and I grew up very close to this area.
We did.
And our school was actually down the street from it.
Yeah, not far at all.
No, I mean,
we would go get lunch, on Lake City.
Yes. So that was mind-blowing to see that in the 48 Hours mystery special.
It's funny that both of us have a Washington connection in our stories, and then we also had the number of $250,000.
Yeah.
So strange. But this has been pretty awesome, I would say.
I think so too. I've never been inside of a bank vault.
And we have not been locked in yet.
No. That was actually one of my biggest fears, is being locked in here. And I mean, I guess it wouldn't be terrible to be locked in here with you, of all people.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
I would pick you. You would be my top 3.
I mean, we still have cell phones. Yes. We'd get out.
I don't know if the door is closed if we have service.
I also don't think the door can close. It seems like there's something in the way. We sort of were playing with it earlier when we were taking photos for everybody on our Instagram page.
Very,
but
heavy door.
It's a very heavy door, and it kind of closes when it gets moving. Yeah, it's kind of been a trip.
A couple times it was actually going to close.
Yeah, when we were doing a little promo video, I think Autumn, honest to God, thought I was going to get stuck in here.
I know. And it's like, if you close me in here, Josh will be so upset with you. I'm like looking at her like, I would be upset. What do you mean he would be upset?
I just opened the air hole and talked to you for hours.
I would definitely leave you here.
Yeah, I was just about to say, you'd be like, hey, I'll text you when I get home. Okay, bye.
Aaron, it's past my bedtime. I need to go to bed. You're fine, right? Is there heat in there? Are you good? I gotta go.
There is a heater in here, so
the only thing missing is a bathroom. You wouldn't be able to do that.
No. Yeah. Anyway, this has been a really fun episode. It's been really fun to do this in here. We always also love to hear about local murders or mysteries around the Seattle area or Washington State. So if you have any of those stories, please send them to us.
We love it.
We love it. And you can get a hold of us by DMing us on our Instagram page, which is Murder Not Murdering, or you can send us an email at info@murdernotmurdering.com.
And this is actually the first episode that we have recorded in the
person.
same room in person because of, COVID and time and living in different cities.
I mean, honestly, I haven't seen you in probably 8 months.
It's been crazy.
Yeah.
But it's been fun. It's even more fun to record in person.
It is way more fun to record in person than over Zoom, guys.
Yes. So this has been a real treat for us, actually, to do this.
It has. And I don't hang out in bank vaults very often. So this is definitely something new and something different. And it's been really fun.
I mean, how many podcasters can say that they have podcasted from a bank vault?
I have no idea.
While reading about bank robberies.
I don't know, but this has been a really unique experience. We're really grateful for it. But also we're grateful to all of our listeners. And thank you again for all of your feedback and for sending us stories, because it really is inspirational and really fun for us. So thanks for listening this week. We'll be back again next Saturday, probably not in a vault, but we will be.
No guarantees.
But we will be back again every Saturday with a brand new episode for you.
Thank you so much for listening, and we hope you have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.